Hey, 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 yeah, hey, what a time to be alive. I left them for dead, now I'm living right. No new friends, no new advice. That was high then, but we got bigger heights. We got bigger fish to fry. Bet on myself, then I roll the dice. Man, it ain't a gamble if you know you nice.
All right, welcome back to Dawn of Dream Podcast. I'm your host, Ara Amen. This is the #1 podcast in Dallas, and today my special guest is Gracelyn Nichols. You know, I didn't know that was your last name for like the longest time.
People thought it was Flowers.
Yeah.
Because of my old Instagram.
Is it because you like flowers?
Well, in high school, that was like my name because I was like kind of like
A hippie?
Yeah. How'd you know I was gonna say that?
I don't know.
Yeah, kind of. So my nickname was Flower, and I just liked it. I was back into photography and stuff back then, really hard. So it was just kind of an aesthetic. So.
Got you.
Sounded good.
Cool. So you're a realtor. You're a marketer. You're a fitness enthusiast.
Yes.
So how did you get into real estate? Like, was that something that you dreamed of when you were a kid, or like why real estate?
Well, I actually, since I was 12, I wanted to be a flight attendant because I love travel.
Okay.
You know that.
Yeah.
And so that was my goal since I was 12. And I remember looking at the market and doing some research for one of my classes. I had to write a research paper on being a flight attendant and really dive into what it meant and everything, what it took. And the acceptance rates for American Airlines were very, very small. They were smaller than the acceptance rates for Harvard. So I was like, okay, what can I do to give me a better shot at getting this position? And I found out that being bilingual is a big thing. That can help a lot. So I grew up in
Bring this closer.
I grew up in a family that only spoke one language, English, obviously. And my grandma's from Czechia. Which they renamed. It used to be called Czech Republic. Now it's called Czechia.
When did they do that?
I think it was like a few years ago.
Really?
Yeah. Super
weird.
weird.
They didn't send out a memo or anything.
No, I know. I was like, because whenever I say Czechia, people are like, is that the Spanish way? I'm like, no, it's actually the real name now. So, yeah, newsflash. But, so yeah, I grew up only speaking English, and I just decided to start learning Spanish because living in Dallas, Texas, there's so many people who speak Spanish. So it just was a natural pick, and I just started loving the music and the culture and everything. And a few years down the road, I felt pretty comfortable with the language. And then I was able to apply for American Airlines. They opened up hiring, and I got hired at 20 years old, which is like the youngest you can possibly get hired there, which was tough. All of my peers were older than me, and it was a really, really tough training. It was about 6 weeks long, but before we graduated, a week before, then COVID hit, so the classes got shut down. So then I came home during COVID, during all of that stress, and I was like, what am I going to do with my life? Like, who knows? Back then, we didn't even know if the travel industry was going to make a comeback. So I was like, okay, what can I do? Prayed about it a lot. That year was one of the main times that I came back to the Lord, and I'm really reconnected with my faith and changed the whole trajectory of my future. But then I got offered a marketing position, entry-level marketing position, and I'd never done anything like that before. So I got the job and kind of got a little bit of experience with that, ended up leaving the job, and got hired with the real estate team as their marketing director. And so that was super fun. I loved that position because it was remote and I could travel, and it was just the best. And my team lead, actually, he was like, you should get your license. I think you'd like it. You're good with people. I think you'd like it. So I'd never considered myself a salesperson whatsoever, and I don't like the whole cringy sales vibe. So I was like, no, I don't think I would like it. Long story short, I got my license, studied really hard, and passed the first time, and then gave it a shot, and I ended up doing well and really enjoyed it. And yeah, that's how it happened. I never would have considered myself a salesperson, but the way I see it is kind of matchmaking. Like, I get to know somebody and what they're looking for, and then find out exactly what fits with them, and it's a really cool moment when you get that connection. But I don't see myself as like a salesperson. Like, it's more like a matchmaker.
That's funny. I feel like nobody really sees himself as a salesperson, because I know I didn't see myself as a salesperson.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, we're always selling whether we think about it or not. So like, even when you're like, you know, trying to talk to girls, or like you're trying to talk to guys, you always are selling yourself. Or if you have kids, you have to sell your kids on why they want to go to bed. Or if you want to go to, like, you're a young kid and you want to go out on Friday, Saturday nights, you have to sell your parents why you're allowed to go out. So you're always selling whether you like it or not.
Oh, that's funny. I never thought about that. It's true.
Yeah, you're always selling. So it never really stops. And people that say they don't like selling, they're selling you on why they don't like selling.
Oh.
So it's like you're trying to sell me, but I'm not buying.
Oh. I like that. That's good.
Yeah.
I mean, that's good because sales is all about communication. And that's just really in the industry, like being able to communicate well, soft skills, all those things are just, they're super valuable. But also, like, us growing up in the generation that we have with social media and COVID and all that, we've had some different times in our lives where we've had normal communication. Really, it's been a switch up on how it was. So, I mean, during COVID, like, you're doing sales over the phone only or Zoom, and it's like these kids growing up, graduating with this type of communication, it's just a completely different world than it was a few decades ago.
They lost that interpersonal, like, skills.
Yeah.
And, like, sales is, like, one of the most important skill sets. I really wish I had known about it when I was younger, instead of going to, like, be an engineer and go that route in school and everything. Because, you know, I would always hear, hey, if you want to make a lot of money and you want to travel, go into sales. But, like, it just wasn't, like, I guess God's plan for me.
Right.
But now that I'm in it, it's like, okay, I wish I had done this a while ago, and I see how powerful it is. Because think about this. If you are really good at sales, you can go into any interview and sell your whoever's interviewing you on why you deserve that position. So it's just like, I've always like loved interviews, and obviously because I do a podcast, but like even like I love doing interviews for jobs because I always like smoke them.
Oh yeah, I can see that.
Yeah, so I love it. I build a good relationship with the person. I build rapport, and then I can sell myself on why I'm the best candidate for this position. But yeah, sales is such an important skill set that I think anyone should, starting out, it's something that can transcend across multiple platforms.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think one of the things, like, you've always been somebody who's influenced me as far as mindset and stuff like that goes. One of the things that I learned partially from you last year was the importance of reading and, like, reading books that help you grow.
Yeah.
And because I grew up with, like, novels and, like, I mean, my family is very artistic and musically inclined and stuff like that. So we would read novels and stuff. But I never understood the importance of, like, all these books that I've read in the past 2 years now. And they've really made a huge difference on the way I see things. And they actually were the reason I actually started producing in real estate, because I had this mindset block of not believing in myself and being young in the industry and all these excuses. But it's like, you really have to get down to it and, like, do it if you really want it. So
you read, I think one of the books that influenced you the most, if I'm not wrong, is it Takes What It Takes?
I think.
Or what was the other one? There's one.
The Magic of Thinking Big.
The Magic of Thinking Big. That
one was a big one for me. Oh my gosh, I'm trying to remember when I read that. I think it was last summer, maybe, or last fall. But yeah, that book is just so good.
The Magic of Thinking Big. Okay, break it down why it's so important and like some of your biggest takeaways.
Okay. Well, I remember one of the big things that really impacted me was I think it was this book. Sometimes they all.
No, I completely hear you.
But that time in my life, one of the books, I think it was that one. It was about the the importance of thinking neutrally. And because if you think too positively, then you're not looking at some blind spots that you would overlook if you're just being completely optimistic, which I tend to be. I'm a very optimistic person, so that is something that really I needed to learn. But it also tells you, like, obviously don't think negatively. But this author, he did an experiment on his own life, and he was like, okay, let me just think negatively and just do everything negatively for a certain amount of time, 30 days or whatever it was, and see how that affects my life and see how it affects my mood. And he came out depressed, he like all these things, and he was like, it really does make a huge impact. And then he tried the positive side, and then he tried the neutral one, and it was just like such a huge difference. So I think that was something that it really made a difference in the way I see things.
Thinking neutrally is so crazy because, like, we probably all go through, like, emotions, right? And then when you feel, like, sad, you listen to, like, sad music, and then it just makes it worse.
Yeah, which is interesting because I always had this hypothesis up until last year where it's like, when I'm sad, I listen to sad music, and it helps me process, and it helps me, like...
It helps you feel your feelings.
Right, and at my personality type, I mean, whether you're looking at Enneagram or, like, any of those Myers-Briggs, whatever it is, my personality type, one of the weaknesses, I don't like to feel hard emotions or sad emotions. I like to pretend that they don't exist or whatever that is. So that was a big thing for me, was like, okay, let me make space for myself to like feel these emotions so I don't just put them under the rug. And so that was what I used to do, is listen to sad music. But then I think it really just kept me in that place longer than I should have been, because I bounce back pretty quick. It's easy for me to see the good in life, and I'm so blessed and thankful for everything that God has given me and just the opportunities that I've been given and been equipped to create. But I just couldn't see myself being down for too long, so I just think that it really delayed that, if anything.
What was like give me an example of like a time you like felt down and like you had to like bounce back quickly?
COVID.
Or like COVID. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, definitely COVID. A lot happened in my life. Because you got your dream job.
Yeah. And then it just got taken away.
COVID was a really hard and beautiful year for me, because at the beginning of the year, I thought that I had everything that I wanted in every aspect of life, my relationship, in my family, in my career, and everything. And slowly throughout the year, but this was without my faith. I really wasn't very involved with my faith. Throughout the year, I got things taken away from me slowly, and still refused to realize that I needed to rely on the Lord and come back to him. And I heard this quote one time that said, the worst thing that God can do for you is let you be comfortable without a relationship with him. Because then you're just digging your own grave at that point. So it's like he can take you to places that you never could imagine, or imagine a person in yourself that you could never imagine being. So you can't get there on your own. But all that to say, I lost my dream job. My relationship ended. My parents got divorced, and I was just at home all day with COVID. So just in my thoughts, obviously overthinking, because we couldn't go anywhere. So I was just here, like, what am I going to do with my life? Everything that I found my identity in had been taken away from me. So I was on my knees, and like the swamp was drained. Like I was just there with nothing. So I mean, I just get chills thinking about it, because it was so tough, but like it made me who I am today. And I'm so thankful that it happened, just because that's when I connected with the Lord again. And we've just had this like sweet relationship ever since then, where it's just so genuine, because I grew up in a Christian family, but it was just very going through the motions. But that was the year that I was like, I really need you. Like, I want to be in a relationship with you. And so it was just, all that to say, it was so hard, but it was so important. And I'm so thankful that it happened. And I can relate to people who've been through any of those things before. And so it turned out for the best.
Awesome. So, okay, when you started doing real estate, what was it like? Like you mentioned, you were one of the youngest in your peer group. You're coming in, trying to make a name for yourself. You're not a salesperson. So what's going on? How are you trying?
Believe it.
Huh?
Yeah, I said you did believe it.
Did believe what?
That I'm not a salesperson.
Well, you said it. I didn't say it. Yep, I didn't say it. But so what are you doing at this point to like gain momentum, build like a name for yourself?
Yeah. Well, I think all throughout my life, I've always been big on networking and building relationships.
Pause. You are amazing at networking.
Appreciate it.
You are really good at like kind of communicating, networking, and working. I don't want to say working a room, but networking.
Yeah. Appreciate it. I have a lot of fun with it, and I think that the reason maybe that I seem that way is because I genuinely enjoy it. Like, I'm so in the moment and like excited to learn about this person. But so yeah, starting out, I think that the hardest thing for me really was in my team, in my office at the time, a lot of people were older than me, and I think more than most offices. So I just really did feel age was a big thing. And then my team was also in a different market. They were doing farm and ranch, and I wanted to do residential. So I felt like kind of a loner in some ways. And although my team is great at what they do, they're just doing a different market than I did. So I think that what I did was I read a lot of books. My team lead used to always tell me, do the things that make the money, which is like anybody in sales knows that is true, because it's like you'll try to do other things except for like reaching out, 100%. Following up. Like that's the stuff that you don't want to do that makes the money sometimes. So it's just being consistent. I'm definitely like, I love spontaneity, and like, I'll book a trip in a weekend and go somewhere. So I think that the routine of like what it takes in sales to be successful was difficult at first. But then once I got it down, like last year, my best month, like it really showed off. So I just, it's really about that. Just doing the stuff that makes money.
Got you. So what was it like to, continue doing the hard stuff or the boring stuff or the stuff that everyone wants to avoid, and then just doing it over and over again, and then maybe not getting results immediately, and then okay, 1 month you have an amazing month.
Mm-hmm.
So like explain that like journey, that process, and your like mentality on, even though it's nothing's happening right now, what are you still doing to make sure that that month happens?
Yeah, well, I think with real estate, as with other sales positions, some like the time from the start of the relationship to a sale can be a long time. In commercial, it's even longer. I mean, you can have a property under contract for years until you actually get a closing. So some people, like, they might not need you now, but they'll need you years later or whatever it may be. So it's really endurance. And I think that marketing is huge because you don't want to, like, obviously be yelling at people, like, buy real estate from me, buy real estate from me. But you want to, like, remind them that that's what you do in a very gentle way. So, I mean, yeah, marketing yourself, just being the first name that they think of whenever they do need somebody who's in your industry, that's a big thing. Because people, I think they only remember, like, up to 3 people's names for each industry. So, I mean, we all know a bunch of realtors, but we couldn't tell you their name if you asked, you know?
Right.
So it's like being that name that you are out there enough on social media and that people remember your name.
How did you learn this? How did you learn how to, like, you know, remind people constantly, market constantly, but be gentle, not annoying? Like, how did you learn that?
Well, it really just is the Lord weaving everything through my life, because throughout different situations, I've learned how to communicate gently and communicate in a way that people will hear through different stuff with my family. And I think that understanding how to tell somebody something that may be hard to hear, especially in the contract process, understanding how to say it gently but also firmly I think is a really important thing to learn. What was the rest of the question?
Well, okay, so explain a time where, like, you failed and like you learned from it.
Okay.
Like, when was some
like
time
in real estate?
Yeah, well, like where you're, you know, trying to follow up with a client or somebody, and it's kind of like, okay, this is, maybe I wasn't gentle, maybe I was being a little too aggressive, and then like learning from it.
I have an example from when I had a client. I don't want to say that. Okay, wait, let me think. The time that I failed. Okay, so I had this one family friend who was ready for me to get my license ever since I was in the marketing spectrum. And as soon as I got my license, they're like, okay, like, let's do it, let's buy it. I was like, yes, I already have my first client. And so I went over to their house, sat down for lunch or something, and we were talking about it. And one of the first questions they asked me was, so since we know you, like, you're going to discount your commission, right? And I was like, oh, man, like, I was just starting. Like, I wasn't really in a place to be very generous with my commission yet.
Right.
With depending on what brokerage you're at, splits can be kind of high. So at that time, I was 70-30. I was taking home 70, but I was also on a team, which was 70-30. So, I mean, that can be a smaller margin. And I was like, honestly, I've been taught that the quality that I bring to the table is worth 3%. And unfortunately, a lot of people's charges that they charge you reflects their work. And I believe that I bring 3% of work to the table. And that was a hard conversation because I sacrificed that, like, opportunity. But I learned from my team lead that sometimes the people who ask for, like, commission cuts and stuff, they can be really difficult to work with from the beginning. So, yeah, I think that was one time that if I had maybe... and then he came back after and he was like, oh, we bought a house, like, a few months later. He's like, we bought a house in the neighborhood that we just talked to you about, and we bought it with another agent. And I was like, I think I might have... I don't think I snapped back, but I was just kind of like, congrats or something. Because I was like... Ow.
Yeah.
That hurts.
Like, it's usually how it works.
I don't care if you do it, but don't come back and be like, hey, we did it without you. Like,
yeah.
It's kind of savage.
Usually people that are asking for, like, discounts, they're probably hard, like you said, they're hard to work with anyways.
Yeah.
Because if they're going to ask for that, they're probably going to ask for cuts other places.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I've had hard contracts, though. I mean, the first few were pretty easy, but there have been some difficult ones.
Yeah. It's always like that.
Yeah.
You're in the people business.
Yeah, for sure. It moves on. You get some good ones after.
Yeah. Okay, so when you're, marketing for real estate, you you've grown a couple like social media accounts like pretty quickly.
Mm-hmm.
So you've gotten really, really good at social media. So
Mm-hmm.
how did that kind of stem from, and like why social media? Why is that so important in
Mm-hmm.
your business?
Well, I've always loved photography. I remember in high school there was an option to either do photography or sport, and I did photography. Little to know I love fitness now, but just not. I'm not very competitive though. But so I chose photography. I did 3 or 4 years of classes in high school and just loved it. I loved just like looking at light and just the way it makes things look. Still to this day, like looking at the sunsets and stuff like that. And so I think that Instagram at that time was just a place for me to put my work and just put the photos that I took up. And then as Instagram has changed throughout the years since high school, which was I graduated in 2017, so since then it's changed a lot. But just kind of staying on top of things, having a consistent social media presence. I had my personal account for a long time that I was very like authentic and just posted my life on there. And I had a pretty good group of people who would engage with my stuff and that I became friends with, and just kept up with friends throughout the years. So I think it's just, in general, no matter what industry you're in, it's just so important to be authentic on social media, but be consistent, and people can kind of see what you're up to, especially if you're in a business that you would like more clients in.
Be consistent. What else?
Yeah.
What's something tangible someone can take with them and go apply so that they can grow
social
their
media.
Be consistent. So like define consistency, like once a day, 3 times a day, 10 times a day.
So I do Instagram just changed their algorithm a little bit, so 3 to 5 times a week is actually better than posting every day.
Oh really?
So that's a new.
Because it was 3 to 5 times a day.
Really?
I think it was at like before they changed the algorithm, like last year.
Okay, maybe so. The thing is, I never like was formally trained in marketing, but I've just had all of it was an experience, which is kind of good because sometimes when you have experience in the field, you know exactly what works versus like hypothesis.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, now it's 3 to 5 times a week is good. I post stories at least 1 or 2 a day when I'm really on it, and for my clients, that's what I suggest. You can go up to 10 or so, but definitely have like stories, because that's really what people watch more than anything. I mean, how many times you just click the story and just keep going, you know,
Mm-hmm.
instead of swiping as much. So that's really big. I think branding is so important, and it's something I'm really passionate about. There are so many companies out there who have a really great product or service, but they don't have their branding quite right to attract the people that they want to attract, whether it's anything to the colors or just the fact that the Instagram account is put together. Like the highlights match the picture, which matches the colors of the feed and everything. Branding workshops are great to take, and I hold one as well, just like one-on-one with clients, but there are a bunch of programs online that you can do it through. I think Story Brand is one of them by Donald Miller. He has a really great book and course as well for marketing and branding. So he's a great person to look up. He has a book called, I can't remember, but it's Donald Miller. He's a marketing genius. So
Okay, so that's like one of your people that you go to for marketing advice or like follower.
yeah, well, I found him a few months ago, but I've really loved what I've seen so far. I mean, I've really just experimented and figured it out.
Okay.
So there's this one site called Udemy.
Mm-hmm.
It's Udemy. It has courses on anything from coding to graphic design to marketing to anything. And a lot of them are free. Some of them are like pretty cheap, and some of them are more expensive. But you can learn a lot from those. That's one of the things that I started with when I really actually got a position in marketing.
Mm-hmm.
But they have anything on there. So it's a really great resource.
Cool. Okay, I want to better understand how like real estate commissions work, if that's okay with you.
Sure.
Okay, so you buy a house, and it was I don't know, I know there's been changes, but I'm not sure. So it was 6%, right?
Well, okay, so
Like, break
basically,
that down.
yeah, sure. So a lot of people have heard about the NAR ruling that they're working on. That will come into effect later this year, I believe. And basically, I'll explain how it was before and how it is now.
Okay.
So the way it was before, commissions are negotiable, and legally you cannot say that there's a standard commission. You can't say 3% is standard. Legally, like, that's not a thing.
Mm-hmm.
So
What is general?
most people charge 3% for a buyer's agent. But when you're representing a seller, which at that point you're a listing agent, typically they'll charge 6% because they're accounting for their commission and the buyer's agent's commission. So that's where it comes into play when people say buyers are represented for free because they don't pay their agent. It's because the listing agent, as part of their marketing deal, and it's become, obviously, almost everybody does it, their marketing deal is that they pay the buyer's agent. And that's just standard for the most part now. So instead of the listing agent accounting for the buyer's agent commission now, which people were complaining that the sellers were getting ripped off because they're charging 6%. Now they're only supposed to write on the MLS that they're not supposed to put like a buyer's agent commission there. So they only charge for themselves.
Okay.
So that's why buyers now might have to be paying for their own agents and paying their 3% on their side.
Wait, so say the last part. Buyers might have to be paying their own agents?
Right. Because before the listing agents,
I
they
see
would
what you're
account
saying.
for
So instead of taking the commission, whoever the buying organization is, they have to pay like a salary to that buyer's agent?
Well, so instead of the leasing agent asking for 6%, accounting for their own commission and the buyer's agent commission, they're only going to be accounting for their 3% or whatever percent they choose. And the buyer's agent, if on MLS the buyer's agent doesn't have a commission that's being offered by the seller, then the buyers will have to pay their agent.
Oh, I see. So if you, I got you. So whoever's buying the house will have to pay whoever your agent is, whatever negotiation you'll come up with.
Right.
Okay.
So, but I've talked to a lot of real estate experts about this, a lot of mentors and successful agents, and I don't know if it's going to be as huge of a difference as what people are thinking it might be, just because real estate and selling is all about competition. And if a lot of people are going to stop giving buyers agent commissions, then that means that the people who do are going to get more traction. So the sellers who agree to doing that 6%, which as a seller, 6% isn't as big of a deal as it would be for a buyer paying a 3% for their closing costs. So I still think that we're going to see a lot of sellers offering the buyer's agent commission. We'll see what happens, but I think it would be a great competitive technique in order to bring more traction to your listing. Because
the seller's agent is probably going to do 6% because then they can work with the buyers and they can get deals done quicker.
Right.
Got you.
Because buyers, 3% for a buyer is a lot more than it would be for the seller, because they're coming out with typically a few $100,000 depending on the deal. Whereas the buyers, they're coming in with just their down payment. Typically, they don't have a lot of wiggle room there for the average buyer. So it's a lot easier for them, the sellers, to pay.
So what would be if someone were to say, well, we don't need buyers agents, I can just go buy everything on my own?
Well, so I made a post about this recently where it's like, I mean, you don't have to use a CPA. You can do your own taxes.
Yeah.
You don't have to you don't have to hire a physical trainer. You can train yourself. You can look up your macros and you can write a meal plan and all that stuff. And there's just so many examples of that. You can do it yourself. But it's like, it comes to a point where, would you rather hire a professional, though, who that's what they do every day? They might see a gray area that you might not notice is dangerous just because they're a professional at it. So it's really just, it's an exchange of time and money, just like any service. Would you rather spend the time educating yourself up to the level where you know that you're going to have a successful transaction, or would you rather just pay somebody to do it for you and focus on the things you're already good at? So
do you think that there would be an opportunity for, let's say, a buyer's agent to go and make like a mini course? So someone can, like, you know how trainers have like mini courses, or CPAs be like, hey, here are the top things to do when you file your own taxes. Now there's going to be a bunch of content out there for people to, not use the buyer's agent, but then you can go learn this really quickly yourself. Now you don't have to, it's an investment, right? So you buy the course, or you take that knowledge and you apply it yourself, or that you can go hire someone. So that's interesting. Yeah,
I mean, I completely agree. I'm sure, the thing is, though, I'm sure that's already out there. It's like, how many people are doing that already? So, I mean, it's just, there's always going to be something that you can do yourself. It's just whether you want to spend the time to learn it or not.
Yeah.
So it works for some people and it doesn't for others, and I'm totally fine with people buying it themselves. It just is painful when you see them do it themselves and then they get into a bad deal. That's where it's like, oh man, like, it wasn't worth it at that point. But I mean, you never know. It's kind of like a gamble.
Yeah. Cool. Okay. So what is so you went from doing real estate in like land, and was it like farmland?
I did residential the whole time.
Residential the whole time?
Yeah,
okay.
I did do a few land sales, but I mean, most agents can do that. It's not as complicated.
But was it primarily land, or?
It was primarily houses. Primarily residential, yeah.
Okay. So what's the difference between buying land and buying a house? Like, what's the benefits and like the pros and cons?
Sure. I mean, with the house, you have a lot more risk because there's a lot more that goes into it. You got foundation, roof, like the bones of the house. You got everything that goes into the house, the plumbing, the electric, like what's the, how in good of condition is everything like that. And then when it comes to land, you got to look for utilities, see if they've already got the utilities hooked up. If there are any easements, which an easement is basically, for example, if you have a piece of land.
Like a drawn line.
Well, it's like if you have a piece of land in the middle that's owned by somebody and there's land around it that's owned by somebody else, you have to legally get an easement in order to access your property. So it's basically like permission, an area that you have permission to go through somebody else's land to get to your land. So there's also utility easements as well if there's a reason that utility companies need to trespass on your land for any reason, then they set that up legally as well. So you just have to do a lot of title work, and that's mainly title that does that type of stuff. But yeah.
Okay. So someone might say that the last couple of years might have been hard for realtors. What was your experience like? Maybe not just alone for you, but like some of the other realtors and people in your network that you're working with. Was there a lot of people that, you know, got out of the industry? Was there people doing well? Obviously, realtors are known for, you know, top 1%, they're killing it. We always see the famous realtors on Instagram and all the big checks and all this stuff. But like, is that like majority? Like what's going on in like the realtor world?
Yeah. Well, I do have to say something about the 1% thing.
Okay.
There's nobody on Instagram verifying that people who say that they're top 1% or top producers are top 1%.
That's a good point.
Or top producers, and a lot of them are.
Everyone says they're top 1%.
Exactly.
I'm like, there's not all y'all are not top 1%.
Exactly. So it's like in any industry, like nobody's like fact checking that. So just don't take that too much to heart.
So you're saying I can go put that on my Instagram?
I mean,
I can
nobody's
go
gonna
be the
stop
top
you.
1% in real estate.
Yeah.
All right.
Nobody's gonna stop you. Like, what? Instagram's gonna be like, you're lying. Oh.
Yeah.
But oh yeah. So the market. Well, obviously it was insane during 2020 and 2021 and a little bit in 2022, but 23 was harder because the interest rate started to go up. The people who wanted to buy in the past few years had bought. So it was just a shift. I mean, the market's always shifting. I've only been in it for like 2 years, but from the years before that I was working with my team and all the experience they've had, it's always shifting. So, but I think that you do have to take a new approach now. It's not, people aren't just like calling you all day, like, let me buy a house, let me sell a house. You have to be more consistent with people and be more available and offer more value. There was a big chunk of realtors who did leave the industry. I think it was probably realtors that didn't have support as far as like a team or mentors, and they just didn't know what to do. I've been really blessed to always be surrounded by people who have a lot more experience than I do, and I'm very open to learning, being corrected or being showed the right way to do things. So that served me really well in the industry as far as being in the right place with mentors. I did switch brokerages though in the past few months just because I wanted to be around people who did my market, which is residential and luxury. So I'm so happy with my switch, and my broker is amazing, and he's like, I think he did 23 transactions last month. And
oh wow.
What's
the average realtor do? Is it like 10 a year, right?
Less than that. I think 75% of realtors do less than 5 transactions a year.
Okay.
So that's a big chunk of people not producing.
100%.
But yeah, so he does really well, and he's in all of his captions, he's like, my friend bought this, and like, he's very good with his clients.
He's personable.
Yes, he's very good at making connections.
He's not just trying to sell, he's trying to build a relationship.
Exactly. And then my team as well, they're big on content, they're big on social media, and so I love that because I've always loved that, and being surrounded by them is really fun. So yeah, I've been making some new content, some new videos, and they've been doing pretty well, and I really enjoy making them too. It's so fun, and building those relationships, whether it's with Lifetime or that Reserve Auto Group. I have that video coming out soon. I got to get a
cameo.
Yeah. I got to get in some really pretty cars. But yeah, just building relationships that way, you never know. And it's just the fun of it. It really has to be the relationships. And if it turns into sales, cool, but like, I really enjoy that. So
that's a huge thing right there that I think people miss, and sometimes we need to be reminded of. It's like, it's all about building relationships. If the sell happens, it happens.
Right.
So I think that's why you're so good at what you do. Can you explain why it's important to have mentors and what mentorship has done for you in your industry?
Yeah, for sure.
Because you said a lot of people left the industry because they didn't have.
That's what I think, because none of my mentors were worried. So it's like if you had those people in your life, you might not have. But I mean, from the beginning, my mentors were like, it's just a ruling with NAR, like with the commission thing. It's not going to make a big difference. Like if you're quality, you'll be fine. But yeah, having mentors, they just, especially if they have more experience, like they'll know things you don't, and they can see things that might happen before they do. And it's always good to be a student all your life, no matter what industry or part of life you're talking about, but whether it's relationships or just work or anything. So having those people that you can go to that you trust and that have your best interest in mind and have experience, it really is a game changer as far as production and confidence in your field as well. Because I remember right before I've ever sold a house, I was like, why is anybody gonna trust me? I haven't ever sold a single house. Like, that's the hardest thing, is your first sale. Yeah. Because like, what do you have to say, you know? So, but I had my mentors just hold my hand the whole way, and like after a few times I was like, okay, like I get how this goes. And so yeah, just having people to ask questions to is big. That's one of the big things I looked for when I changed brokerages, was like, I need somebody who I can rely on, who's going to be able to be there to ask questions or give me tips. Right. Accessible. Yeah.
What was explain a situation where a mentor like helped you like crazy with your new brokerage?
Okay.
Like a highlight that they did and you're like, oh, that was so cool that they like were able to shorten up this issue for me.
Yeah. I'm trying to think so far.
Well, how long have you been with them? Because it might be too.
Like a month.
A month. Okay, so you might not have had.
I don't know if
you don't have that much time with them to where.
I mean, he's been just very intentional the whole time. Okay. Like he's so busy, but he responds to my texts within like 30 minutes every time, and it's always like, for a little while when I was switching brokerages, I didn't have access to MLS because my license number was like in process. Mm-hmm. So he ran comps for me, and like he's so busy, but like he did that, and he did it in like an hour, like since when I asked him for it. So it's just like having those people that will put whatever they're doing on hold to help you and nurture you, and I mean, believe in you and spend time working with you is really cool. And I mean, he's already been so excited to see what I'm doing and stuff like that. So I think we're going to get along really well and do a lot of business together.
Cool. How do you pay that forward?
I tell everybody about him.
Okay.
I definitely am a big brand ambassador for him. I've had several agents already reach out and be like, I love what you're doing on Instagram so far with your new switch and the videos you're doing. Like, how'd you get into that? And a lot of people know him already because he really does.
Give him a shout out. What's
his name's Nav. I don't know exactly what his handle is, but if you go to my account, he's tagged on there. My account is Gracelyn .Dallas.Realtor, and he's tagged on there. I just posted him. He's very successful. And our group is called Singh Real Estate Group, SINGH. That's his last name, Nav Singh. So yeah, he's a boss.
Cool. I love it. What is how did the relationship with Lifetime like transpire? Because that Lifetime is right by my job. Okay. So I drive by it every day. And I remember when they were like building it.
Yeah. Well, so the way that happened was I have a fitness account, and a lot of my content I shot at Absolute Recomp for the longest. And I had somebody reach out to me wanting to see if I wanted to work at Lifetime. So I just followed up to like, nurture the relationship and just kind of like get to know the person. And they connected me with the I think he's the national recruiter for Lifetime. So he just basically, his job is just he goes to gyms, works out, and like recruits people to work at Lifetime. It's a cool job. I'll do that. Just work out all day. But so yeah, I got on a phone call with him, and he connected me with when we found out like a position wasn't really the best idea, then he connected me with the marketing manager from that Lifetime, and I had asked them if I could do some content there. And then right after that, I switched brokerages and got this videographer, and he has a drone too. So I was like, oh my gosh, this is perfect. Like, we can do a really good video for them. And so we showed up, and I met the marketing director and everything. We were very careful not to get anybody in the shot because it was like during gym hours. But yeah, they just, I mean, I built a relationship with them, and they let me come film, and then it blew up, which I mean, of all the videos I've made, I didn't expect that one to, but I mean, it's a really cool gym, so I don't blame it, but it's cool.
How did you get in love with fitness from, you know, opting out of doing sports?
Yeah, that's a funny story. So I got rear-ended by a cement truck in 2020 or something, maybe 2021. Got rear-ended by a cement truck, and I started having like lower back pain, and I was like, what in the world? I'm too young for this. Like, I don't have chronic back pain. So I was like, what can I do? My mom's a chiropractor. She treated me, and it got a lot better. But she said one of the things that I could do to help is strengthen my back. And I'd been in and out of fitness, maybe like 1 month in and then a year out, whatever, for a few years. But after that, I really got into it and got more consistent. I worked on strengthening my lower back, and the pain went away, and I found a love for fitness more than just the physical benefits of like having energy and being stronger, but it really helps. Going to the gym, it helps me organize myself mentally and just feel more calm. I think when your muscles contract, they release a hormone that just fights depression and fights anxiety and all that, and it's just, working out is a great way to fight all that and just kind of be like very much more stable with moods and all that. So a lot of benefits, not just physically.
Why did you start making gym content?
Because a friend of mine does it, and he competes as well, so I would film him, and then I would be like, I mean, I'll do it too, I guess. And I wasn't very strong back then at all. Still not very strong, but I was just like, I'll do it too, because I love photography. Why not? Mm-hmm. So I started doing it. It was pretty fun. I started a group chat on my fitness account with gym girls, which got a lot of traction, and it's kind of a good way to meet other women in fitness in the area without just walking up to them at the gym, because you don't know if they're going to be like mean or nice or who knows. So made a lot of friends on there, and then like met in person at the gym and catch workouts with them, and that was really fun. Was able to work with some brands, and one of them, Goated, is a blast. We do events together and like shoots together, and it's just a really fun group to be a part of. But yeah, I mean, I just wanted to see, also, it was kind of a marketing project for me. I was like, how fast can I build this account? So I went from 0 to 3,000 in a month, I think. Or
wow.
Maybe 2 months. I was just using some different social media tactics that I knew, and then experimenting with some other things, and it really worked. And I mean, I haven't been doing much with it recently in the past few months, ever since I've been focusing more on real estate, but it was really cool to see that, okay, I do know how to grow it from 0 to 100, you know, and it was a fun project. Met a lot of people through it.
What tactics did you use?
So for that one, I worked on producing quality content, because it's not just about quantity, obviously.
What's quality content?
So you want the video to be clear. Don't over edit it. Don't put too many filters on it. Like, make it as close. Well, it depends on your brand. My brand is real, so I make it as close to real life as possible, but just like enhanced. So I'm not going to put like a green and orange filter on it. Like, to me, that's not my style. So you don't want to edit it too much. You want it to be as clear as possible. If you're editing video and you use CapCut, export at 1080 at 30 or 50 FPS. When you go to the export, you'll see those slides. That's the best quality. I always sharpen to 30. That's a big thing that can make a big difference.
You can't export CapCut on 4K though, no?
No, don't do it at 4K, because Instagram can't handle 4K.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So I used to shoot in 4K, but then I was like, well, I'm exporting in 1080. It's just taking up space in my phone.
Gotcha.
So shoot at 1080, and then just do 30, sharpen, and then export at 30 FPS. That's what's worked best for me. So I posted quality content, and then I engaged with other people. I genuinely wanted to meet people in the gym industry.
So how are you engaging people? Like, what are you doing to like
yeah.
Who are you choosing to? Is it like what is that like?
Right. So since there's a fitness account and I go to Absolute, I just went to Absolute's story, and honestly, it was kind of a hack, because you just go to their story and just follow everybody on their story. And what I would do is I would follow somebody, and then like go to their profile and like a few pictures that I liked, and then comment or no comment, but just engage a little bit with each person to just know that you actually like care and you want to connect, and not just like follow. Mm-hmm. So that worked really well. Engaged with a lot of people and made some connections. And then that's when I started the group chat, was when I actually had a group of people that I wanted to interact with. And then posting on my story and tagging Absolute, they always repost. So that I think helped a lot too. People saw me on their story. A big thing about marketing is involving other brands and other accounts as much as you can, because then when they post you on their story, you're getting their whole sphere as well. So that's why collaborating is so big. It's good for everybody. It's a win-win, because they get on your story and you get on their story, and then you get access to both of your spheres.
And you also did some giveaways.
Yes. Yeah, I know. I need to do another one. Yeah, so giveaways are big because you're bringing value to the table, and all they have to do is follow a few accounts and like a few pictures, put on their story. So it's a great exchange. And especially when you have them put on their story, because then, again, their sphere sees it. So that was really fun. Plus, it's just fun to give back and, like, add value. So, yeah, that was cool. I like that. I need to do that again.
Cool.
I need to do a real estate one. What should I do for real estate? What should I give away?
A giveaway for real estate?
We can do a poll. What should I give away?
You could do a camera. I don't know if that's too much. Or like Starbucks gift card's always easy.
Yeah.
Gift cards are always easy because you also give them electronically.
Right, that's true.
So you know what I mean? So like they don't even have to be local.
Yeah.
Gift cards. I'm trying to think. What else you can give? Stuff you can give away electronically is always easy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So my biggest takeaways from that is how to grow an account from 0 to 3,000 is good quality content. It was collaborate with brands so that you can repost and share.
That relate to your content.
Yeah. Okay. What else did you say?
Engage.
Find
your tribe is like what they say, but yeah, engage with people who will be interested in your content, not just people that you want to follow or whatever it is. Like, it's got to be in your sphere, or else they're gonna follow you and never like anything.
Your niche.
Yeah.
Okay, and then you also said, I forgot what you said, but you said something that I wanted to highlight. Also make group chats. You made a group chat with gym girls.
Yeah.
So it's like, hey, we have the like minds. Let's just connect.
Yeah, and honestly, that was one of probably the main reasons I got sponsors, was because not only were my likes good, but I had a lot of comments because we would engage on each other's stuff.
You post and then you're like, hey, can you all go comment if you like it?
Yeah, we did that for a little while. We would say, like, we'd send in the chat, hey, I posted, like, would appreciate any love, and then people would go like it if they wanted to and comment. So that boosted my engagement and my comments a lot. While making friends. So it was like a win-win, and having people to go work out with and then collaborate. So it was just like, it's just a circle.
Mm-hmm. That's really cool.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. What's next for you in your fitness, like, I guess, avenue?
Mm-hmm. Well, I think I'm switching to Lifetime instead of Absolute.
You gotta.
Which is, yeah, I don't know. It's kind of like a funny topic because I'm switching because Absolute, like, is an amazing gym and they have great equipment, but it's very much like in the evenings it's like club vibes, and like I feel like everybody's always like checking each other out there. It's like I'm in a happy relationship, so I don't want to be, feeling like that. So I'd rather have like a more professional environment, and Lifetime offers that. So it's a great place to be if you're single and you just want to go make content, make friends. Like, it's a great environment. But just in my stage in life, I'm just kind of leaning more towards Lifetime. So what's next for me?
Very professional of you.
Oh, for professional.
That's very professional of you.
Oh yeah. I mean, I'm growing up. But I think so. My boyfriend has a background of boxing, and he just got involved in like MMA and that type of thing. So I've been trying it, and it's very different for me because I haven't done much cardio work because I was really thin. So I working on building and not as much cardio. But I'm trying it. It's new, but it's fun, and I think it'll take some getting used to, but we'll see. But for now, Lifetime for sure, and then maybe dabbling in some other things.
Okay. What's next for you in real estate? Like, what's the like 1-year plan, 5-year plan, 10-year plan for
real estate? I
think is that going to be your main avenue?
Yeah.
Okay.
For sure. The cool thing is marketing and real estate go hand in hand.
Right.
So I have a marketing company as well where I've helped a lot of businesses like grow and find their demographic and find the right people who want their product. But that goes great with real estate. So for real estate, this year I think I want to focus on really just getting my brand very sturdy and building the foundation really well. I don't want to rush too much into anything else. I want to keep creating content and videos like I've been doing. I want to do some interviews as well with like people in the industry and bring a lot of like education on as well as the cool videos, and build my business, see where it takes me, and continue to network and make connections and bring value to people's lives. And then 5 years, I would like to eventually have a team. I think that would be so fun because I love community. I love being social, and I just think it'd be really fun to do that and at that time share what I've learned. And then 10 years, hopefully everything will be automated and I'll be on a beach.
I love that answer. What are you obsessed with right now?
Obsessed with? Oh, man. I don't know if I'm obsessed with anything. I think I'm obsessed with balance right now. I'm trying to figure out the best balance of things. Like, how much time to spend on work, how much time to dedicate to family, to my relationship, to fitness, sleep. Like, I'm really, the past few months, I've been so focused on what things I should spend my time with.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, I'd probably say that. Finding a good balance.
Interesting. Okay. Do you have any? What do you have? Any final thoughts or anything you want to say or promote? And anything that was on your mind when you walked in, or that you wanted to kind of bring up?
Well, I wanted to thank you for having me today, and I'm so glad that you're doing this because I remember we talked about this, like a year ago now, and I was like, this would be great for you, and I think you do so well with it. So I'm happy to see you running with it and bringing value to people's lives through it and having fun. So I'm glad.
Yeah, we got to do more with like when you get a team or bring a panel on.
For sure.
And then we can promote, people in your network, and then allow you to give them a platform.
Mm-hmm.
And then we can, because I love what you do. Like you're really good at social media. Mm-hmm. And I need to this is almost more selfishly for me where I'm asking these questions. I'm like, okay, how do I grow my
well, let's sit down sometime. I'll run you through it. I mean, I do I'm happy to sit down with brands or people and just be like, okay, what's your goals? Like, what do you have set and what do you need help with? So, yeah, I mean, I'd be happy to do that.
Yeah, because you also got into creating funnels, right?
Yeah.
So.
Oh yeah.
So talk about that.
That was a game changer. Oh my gosh!
So how are you incorporating that with real estate and everything like that?
Well, so that's the thing. I haven't done it for myself yet because I've been doing it for all my clients. But that's definitely the next thing that I need to do. But it's just saves so much time because you don't have to remember to follow up or go to the next step, but you just kind of. It's just like an easier way to lead clients to you. That's natural and comfortable for them. So yeah, learning about that and learning how to build websites has been such a blast. I mean, there's always something new in the marketing world, and that's why it's so fun. Mm-hmm. So,
what are you reading right now?
I'm reading Killing Sacred Cows, actually.
What is that about?
So it's about kind of like the myths of the financial world and business and sales and stuff like that, and it kind of dethrones some ideas that may have been heavily relied upon in the past, whereas now maybe they're a little bit different. Maybe things have changed a little bit, or the truth is coming out about them. So it really helps you kind of get a good perspective on what's real in those industries.
Like what? Like, give me an example. Like, what was a myth that is coming?
Oh man, I don't know if I can think of one right now.
What's the first thing that comes to mind when you think about that book?
I think for me, it's that things are different than you expect.
Okay.
And that's always been a theme that's played out through my life, is things aren't always how people say they are. Whether it's the timeline of your life when you're supposed to get married and all this stuff, or the experiences people have had in a marriage, or experiences people have had in real estate. And it's just, you can't take what somebody says as the full truth until you've experienced it for yourself or you've really researched it well. So, I mean, doing that work yourself and not just being like, oh man, somebody said real estate's competitive, I'm not going to get my license, It's mm-hmm. like, no, really think about it and think about yourself and your talents and everything and give it a chance.
How come you say you're not competitive, but you're in a competitive industry?
I'm not competitive if we're fighting over a plastic trophy, but I am competitive if somebody that I care about house could potentially go to somebody else that and they want it. So I'm like, no, this is perfect for them. Like, I'll do what I can to get that. But yeah, if it matters, I'm competitive.
Okay.
But not for a plastic trophy in high school.
Gotcha,
I was like, I'm not gonna risk breaking my arm.
Awesome. Do you have any questions for me? Put you on the spot.
I know. What have you been learning the past few months that's made a big difference in your life?
Past few months is how to work even if like things are going to shit. So like everything is failing, nothing's going right.
Yeah.
Yeah, just like everything going wrong, and you still have to show up and smile and pretend like everything's okay.
Yeah.
And, you know, just putting on that face. Like, you got to put on a mask sometimes.
Yeah.
So it's been like, you know, because it's always like in sales, it's not always easy. It's not always, you know, rainbows and butterflies. So you have to show up, pretend like everything's okay, and sometimes you like have to put a face on, and it's like, and we've talked about this before. It's like when we're in a bad mood, me especially, it's like it's so obvious. Like if I'm in a bad mood, like, I'm like, because usually when I'm in a good mood, I'm like high energy, high excitement, making jokes. Like it's just like a completely night and day person of who I am. So when I'm that night person, it's like so obvious, and everyone's like, "What's wrong? What's wrong? What's wrong?" And it's like everything's fine. We're good. Yeah. So learning how to just, you know, manage things like that. Yeah. Because it's like it always sways, right? So sometimes the ebbs and flows are higher than lower. Yeah. But still showing up and being a professional. For sure. And producing results, even though you don't want to. And when you don't produce results, you see things fall. And you're like, oh shit, okay, this is gonna go bad if I don't catch up or if I don't do something. Yeah.
Well, okay, one more question. Yeah. What do you think since we've met? Because we've gone through a lot of different phases of life.
We've known each other for a while. We got really close in
I was thinking about on the way here. We've known each other for like over 2 years, I think.
Two.
Or
it's probably going on 3 years.
You think so?
Well, we met in 2022, right? It was 22?
Did we? I'm trying to think.
It was in 2022.
Wow, okay.
So it was in 2022. We met and we were just, you know, kind of friends, acquaintances. Yeah. And then we got in business together and we got really close for, let's say, like almost a year. Yeah. So, yeah, we
took a Mexico trip.
Yeah. So we've gotten like relatively pretty close.
Yeah, for sure.
So what was you going to say?
Oh, I was going to say, since we've met, like from the beginning, what do you think the biggest change that you've made in your life was that got you to where you are now?
My mindset. So, I actually just wrote a book. And
I saw that. So, congratulations.
Yeah. So they asked me this question, and it's two things. Mindset, obviously, mindset's always everything, but the biggest thing is associations. So who you associate yourself with. So you're the average of the 5 people you hang around with. So if you're around a very successful broker, that's your future. That's who has the biggest influence in you. Right. But if you're around somebody who is maybe not excited about life or maybe they're not reading, then that's who you are. So if you look at your friends, I can show you your future. Or I don't want to say friends. If you look at who you associate with, that's your future. So the biggest thing is, I mean, in those 2 years, it was, I mean, night and day difference. So, I mean, you saw it.
Right. 100% for both of us.
Yeah, literally.
We went through so much growth.
So it was just, you know, hanging around people that are pushing me in the right direction, holding me accountable because, like, if you're not being held accountable, nobody really holds you accountable. Like, your friends don't hold you accountable to reading and growing and developing and making sure that you're making more money. Right. They're just kind of like, yo, let's have fun. Yeah. And there's nothing wrong with having fun. It's fun. Yeah. But if you're not being held accountable to, like, a certain standard, even, like, in a relationship, like, if you are not holding each other accountable to growing, then that relationship is kind of stagnant.
Stale, for sure.
It's like, thankfully, like, I think we're both in relationships where we're getting pushed in the right direction. Right. So it's
challenge.
And it's a good thing, right? So sometimes you get challenged and it's kind of like, oh man, this sucks, but that's a blessing. Yeah. Like, there's people that kind of like what you said. If you're comfortable without God, if you're comfortable without being challenged, then you're not growing. Right. So it's just like, boom.
Right. And if they do it out of love, obviously, like, it's a good thing because they're just calling you to something higher, which is a blessing. It can be so frustrating in the moment, but I mean, it's a blessing. Right. But there is something to be said for like talking about associations, people that you may be in a season of your life that you think are your biggest fans, and then you level up. And this happened to me like a year or so, maybe I think it was last year. I started like doing real estate for real and started producing, and some people I thought were going to be there to support me the whole way, like just did not care, or they even like would try to critique me and like just give me all these weird like vibes, and like I had to kind of distance myself from them because it was like, wow, I thought we were going to be in this forever, you know. And I know that I would have supported them so strongly, but it's like you got to be careful though, like who you keep in your close circle. And it's crazy. Some people, you know, they're not who you hoped they would be, but then you find even better people. So it's just a process.
That's how it goes usually. It's like let me ask you this: are those people that aren't supporting you, are they doing anything that you could even support them in?
Ooh.
Does that make sense?
Ooh, yeah.
Like, if they were doing anything, do you have the opportunity to even support them, or are they not doing anything?
Yeah. Well, that's interesting because it reminds me of that quote where it's like, people who are winning, they're not going to take the time to talk bad about somebody who's trying to get there. So it's like, people who are hating on you, like, they're probably not, I don't want to be mean.
No,
they're probably not headed in the same direction.
The quote is, or like one of the quotes is like, you'll never be criticized by someone doing more than you.
Yeah.
So if they're doing more than you, they're not going to be like, oh, you suck. They're going to be like, hey, you're doing great.
Right.
They might give constructive criticism, like, you know, in a respectful way, but they're not going to be, you know, I guess bashing you.
Because they've been in that place.
Because they've been there.
Right.
So they're like, oh, I see you working. It's kind of like being at the gym and seeing a fat person work out. You're not going to go and like yell at them.
No, you're going to be like, that's
like,
great.
Hell yeah,
like,
let's
I'm
go.
proud of you. Like,
let's go.
I know how hard it is. Yeah, for sure. That's cool.
It's funny. Cool. What else are you going to do this year? I feel like now it's just a conversation, so we just like talk.
Okay. I think I would love to take some more trips, but I'm trying to wait a little bit.
Are you going to go to Hawaii?
Yeah. I think Alex and I are going to go to Hawaii. Hopefully. That'd be so fun. I think
Have you
at
ever
the end
been?
of the year. No, not to Hawaii. I always go to Mexico.
I've never been to Hawaii either. I know.
Yeah. I know. It's crazy we're both going the same year, too.
I know. I cannot wait to go. My best friend's getting married, and I'm so stoked.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's fun.
Yeah.
Dang.
And I haven't seen him in, like, forever because he lives in Hawaii. He lives in Hawaii.
Oh, what?
Yeah.
Oh, my gosh.
I know.
That's fun.
But
be friends with him.
What's it called? He lived in, like, Ohio so he joined the Air Force.
What? That's
He joined the
so
Air
different.
Force, so he went to Ohio, and he was in Ohio for, like, I don't know, like 5-7 years. I don't know how long. It was a long time. And we're all making fun of him because you're, like, in Ohio, like, the worst place ever.
Yeah.
And then he moved to Hawaii. We're like, what the heck?
You're like,
what the heck? But it's cool because we get to go visit him now at his wedding.
Oh, my gosh. What a dream. I used to, like, follow these accounts on my old account that, like, they just lived in Hawaii and they had these little kids and they're just all so tan and blonde and just happy. And I was like, I want to do that. It looks so fun.
You
Maybe
have to get
day.
a Loco Moco. Have you heard, you know what a Loco
No.
Moco is? It's like a dish. So it's a like a beef patty with an egg. I'm going to mess this up because I don't remember, but Rev told me about it. It's a beef patty with like an egg on top and then gravy.
Ooh.
And it's like, that's like a Hawaiian like dish.
That does sound good.
Yeah.
Man. Huh.
Cool.
Yeah.
I think we can end it here. Anything else you want to say?
I don't think so. I'm
All right.
happy to be here.
We're going to get the next one. All right.
Sounds good.
Appreciate you.